Do you have trouble eating a bacon sandwich? Do people think you're too posh? Or do you find that students boo you in the street? If so, welcome to the world of the party leader, who, despite the best efforts of a coterie of advisors, faces a daily battle to control the public's perception of them. So what to do if you find you have an image problem? Here's Eleanor.
Politicians trying to project a positive image can be A, a little prone to wandering off script, B, caught out by events out of their control, like being egged, and C, simply standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there's certainly no shortage of advice for political leaders. Like many before them, these three all have their own individual image problems.
The vulnerabilities that they have, for David Cameron, it's that he's arrogant and out of touch. For Ed Miliband and Nick Clegg, they're kind of the same. They're that they're weak and that they're out of their depth. And Ed Miliband has an associated problem with that, which is that some people find him a bit weird.
Oh dear, weird, out of touch, weak. That doesn't sound good. In the world of communications and PR, there are some key buzzwords and phrases politicians need to be associated with if they want to be a success. Think strong and perhaps gravitas.
I think if spin doctors could design a politician, they wouldn't design me.
And that, perhaps, is why Labour recently advertised a vacancy as head of Leaders Broadcasting, tasked with advising Mr Miliband and improving his TV appearances. Expertise that could have been useful in May at this early morning media event.
There's undoubtedly bullying going on in the media. People take photographs of Ed and try to make him look weird or look not normal. He's got to ignore all that. He's got to play to his own strengths. His strengths are that out on the ground, on a soapbox, on a doorstep, he convinces people, he connects to them. The question has got to be not who looks prime ministerial, but who will act prime ministerial and do the right thing for the country.
It's on the doorstep that Nick Clegg is said to be toxic, bruised from being in coalition. And the advice? Plain old honesty.
Voters hugely value authenticity when they feel politicians are really being honest about who they are. And Nick Clegg is a politician. He comes from the political class, he's been involved in politics in one form or another for decades now, and so he very much understands the political system, and that's a weakness if you try to pretend you're somebody else, but it can be a real strength if you say, well look, I've been there, I understand how this system works, I know what I really want to change, and I'm a good person to do that.
And for David Cameron, playing the part of PM, it's about turning weaknesses into strengths.
If David Cameron is arrogant or he's out of touch, well, is he also kind of quite firm-minded, and does he have a plan that he's prepared to stick to?
Living up to strategist buzzwords like credible clearly isn't easy. Being human, hopefully not too difficult. The gurus say 10 months from an election, the trick is to make voters more comfortable with your shortcomings. Plumping for a relaunch now is like admitting you've already failed.
Eleanor Garnier reporting. So, Phil, we talk about these things in the lead-ups to all elections, but however much party leaders and their advisors like to talk about policy and the message, it's still important in the age of television and democratic politics. It's about instinct, it's about your ability to connect, isn't it?
It is, but there's a lot of information contained in those images. I mean, the implication when we say someone has an image problem is always that somehow the image is false, and that beneath the image there is a truth which the public has not yet understood. That's very rarely true. Usually when someone has an image problem, they have a problem. And the image is telling you something which is true, not telling you something which is false. And I think you can see that in all the three party leaders at the moment. Their images are, of course, exaggerated versions of themselves. They're, in a sense, a caricature. But a caricature is defined by the thing which is true about it, not the thing which is false about it.
Oh, yes, go on.
So when Ed Miliband has a sort of image for being a bit geeky and sometimes a bit indecisive and sometimes a bit left-wing, and the swirling parts of it don't quite add up to a picture. But that's quite a good component part of what he is. David Cameron's image is much the same. He has an image of being a little bit arrogant, out of touch, as Rick Nye was saying in the film, but at the same time that sometimes translates into being quite authoritative. And again, there's a lot of truth in that image. Nick Clegg's image, when they say students boo him in the street, well, that's not just because of an image problem. That was a real substantive policy problem with tuition fees. So these little snippets we get through images usually tell us something quite important about the leaders.
Right, you've talked about all three of them. It seems if you look and regard the polls as important, that Ed Miliband has more of a problem transcending his image, if you like. Is that true?
I think it is true, but again, for a real reason. I don't think that there is a magnificent Ed Miliband under the radar and then they send out this sort of character from a cartoon to go onto the TV. I think that what you get through his visual representations is a snippet of what you're getting in policy terms. So my own view is that the Labour Party are camped in the wrong position, and that sense, not particularly well defined, is coming out through the image that Ed Miliband portrays on TV. So it's not that he has an image problem, in my view, is that he has a problem.
All right.